Now, when you're running your big three, you might need to support your wire somewhere where there it just simply isn't somewhere to support the wire. So you might need to make your own little wire loop or strap that you can screw into a firewall or an existing connector or something like that, so you can keep your wire tucked out of the way. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need a piece of sheet metal, some heat shrink, tin snips, and a length of wire. The first thing you need to do when you're making these wire loops is to mark out a strip of sheet metal that you're going to eventually loop around and fold over to make the wire loop support. Since I'm using heat shrink, I need to make this fit through the heat shrink, and in order to make sure I don't cut through the edges, cut through the heat shrink, I need to roll over these edges. So I marked out about a quarter or eighth of an inch on each side of the heat shrink. You can do this with electrical tape, in which case it doesn't matter how wide this piece is, but again, you're going to want to roll over the edges to make sure you don't cut through the tape. I would recommend doing nothing skinnier than about a quarter of an inch, just for strength. Mine's going to end up being about half an inch wide. So now that I've cut out the strip, I need to roll over the edges. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do what I'm going to do and stick the piece into a vise, hammer it over until I have a bit of a lip, and then take it out and use the little anvil on the back here and roll it completely flat, or you can do it with a pair of pliers. I recommend the vise method if you have one. It's a little bit easier. If you don't have a vise but want to do something similar, you can either hold or clamp the piece to the edge of a workbench and then just use a hammer to roll the edge over. Now that I've rolled over these edges, so I'm not going to cut through my heat shrink or electrical tape, I'm ready to form this around the wire, so I can actually use it as a wire loop. So now that I've rolled these edges over, I'm ready to start forming this to the approximate shape of the wire. You can do this by taking a pair of pliers and just gradually bending this into a curve around the middle, or you can find something that's approximately the same diameter as your wire and just bend it straight around that. I'm going to use the plier method because I can't find anything in my garage solid enough to wrap this around. So now I've rolled my wire over into the approximate loop shape I want to use. It fits pretty loosely over my wire, but I am going to wrap it and shrink wrap it, plus I can also shrink this around the wire if I need to get it held snugly. So now the next step would be to take my heat shrink, feed it around this loop, and wrap it around, maybe do a layer or two to make it nice and smooth so the metal doesn't chafe through the insulation, or just wrap it in electrical tape. And now there it is. This is our mostly completed loop. I pulled the shrink wrap around it. That took forever. Then hit it with the torch, shrink it all up, made it nice and smooth. The only thing left to do is find a self-tapping or sheet metal screw that you're going to use to mount this, and drill a hole of the appropriate size through these two ends here. And then these two will get pinched down together and make a nice little loop for you to guide your wire through, or clamp around if you made it small enough. If you need to make it smaller, you can always just stretch this end out here, or this end. Just clamp one end and pull on the other. It makes the diameter smaller, and you can make it the size that you need. So there you have it.